Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to dive back into a very interesting story. Please like and subscribe my channel. Let's go. Conspiracists are attempting to compel to think that everything we've ever experienced known about Earth's genesis and humanity is a myth. However, it appears that sometimes inventiveness can result in genuine facts. Some explorers, for instance Zechariah Sitchin, who is curious about ancient clay, is thought by secret histories the Great Pyramid of Giza's tablets, unusual hieroglyphs, antique bas-reliefs containing rare relics and numerous other results could make the real story about the architect of our culture. But most significantly, geneticists recently discovered important hints in our own DNA. So who ultimately created humans foreign? The anthropologist Henry Liard and his teams performing digs in Iran at the location of Sipar's ruins. City it once existed but is now non-existent, become a part of the magnificent region. Its streets in Mesopotamia resemble an advanced network of historical buildings in the location before advanced Sumerian population, a culture that was extremely advanced according to scientific and knowledge of engineering. But what was the archaeological geniuses' well-kept secret? We're making every effort to locate the explanation on why the team was beyond delighted to find more than 2 or 10 nonetheless. There are about 20,000 clay tablets with writing by Sumerian scribes of antiquity. Historians say the treasure is 5,800 years old. We'd been anticipating as they anticipate that such a forward-thinking culture would shed light on some things we find difficult. Recognize the moment when researchers they observed in the altered texts that the occasionally Sumerian creation myths intersected with other people's folklore countries that use the Bible, and even a few widely acknowledged scientific truths. Nevertheless, the Sumerian translation of occurrences were definitely true and valid. I find that both ridiculous and unbelievable. Possibly you'd best listen to it out to understand what I mean at the outset. Credit for the mental jump made by the time when ancient Sumerians first arrived. Learn from those who arrived. The Sumerian language has descended a unique name for these deities. According to various descriptions, the Annunaki, others claimed that they had wings, were split evenly between humans and birds. Sumerians sought to emphasize the capability of flying in their books. People from the past said that these creatures primarily resemble humans but have wider faces, their heads were enlarged, shoulders, and the Anunnaki could be egg-shaped. Very tall and may reach 5, they could survive for many more meters. More than 1,000 years, which is why we're regarded as divine beings, and Sumerians asserted that the primary cause of when the Anunnaki arrived on Earth, This prompted the inquiry, why? Why do the great gods require some portions, despite the fact that that's not the strangest Sumerian writings passage? People who belong to the mysterious civilization assert that these animals from the humans were not born from the earth, but rather from the skies. Boredom, but also because they were lonely to finish the challenging challenge of gold for them. Extraction in accordance with ancient Sumerians. It appears that people came about for one straightforward reason to put forth the effort as opposed to these beings. But the most surprising aspect of the earliest writings describe legends. These describe how individuals were made. Gods 250. 1,000 years ago, the Anunnaki began pondering how to create a basic employee. They recalled that a perfect life form already existed to fit. A visiting monkey played the part. A little bit resembled their own, but the animals trailed them in a large way. The monkey's evolutionary development. This clearly recalls that genes were altered. Biblical themes ever since the Anunnaki to me intended to create a human being in there. I believe that you will agree that the fact that this is a first in our historical evidence for evolution theory and Christianity united people so intimately, inhabited enormous areas and began taking out gold. Everything was in motion. Up till the Anunnaki started having affairs with mortal women resulted in hybrids born that were neither of their parents, neither the Huron-Nike nor Earth's inhabitants. Then the Almighty God made the decision to remove the status quo for the human race. Interestingly enough, latent opposition to the Bible. They commanded a massive deluge. The Anunnaki re-entered the sky and saw their creations pass away lazily. A time when the earth and its wildlife they returned and produced other after-covering people are much more flawless than the earlier iteration. The Anunnaki were trained them in several areas and elevated them to very clever. Could you identify those greatest examples of human beings? Of course, they were the species. Sumerians who just so happened to be maybe the clay tablets creators. tales unearthed by archaeologists. However, in a short while, the Syria and the Anunnaki got into combat. Since they weren't satisfied with the reason those who came were in a slave situation returned once again from the skies. However, this time they were kind to and even permitted them to retain information and continue to develop independently. So what do you believe, despite how weird it may sound? All hypotheses regarding the origin of the Sumerian culture, people merged into one. These scribbles refer to tablets. Everything that the gods created in evolution individuals, as well as an alien civilization that arrived on Earth and began life here. The most bizarre aspect is that modern historians, archaeologists, and even astronomers have discovered plenty of evidence to back up each and every claim made in this legend. Since the Anunnaki are almost certainly weren't at all enigmatic gods. But another item. Naturally, most modern scientists are pessimistic concerns the clay tablets discovered in the mid-19th century. They disregarded we have scriptures regarding the Anunnakius. Another illustration of the excessive historical vision of our ancestors, had many legends about to detail everything they have up couldn't comprehend. For instance, when no one was familiar with the terms meteorology or photographs of bright lights in the sky. Zechariah, however, feared for divine retribution. The writer, who is interested in, according to secret histories, that the Sumerians were far too intelligent to be considered the animals to descending to them from heaven were likely something more substantial than imaginary gods. The Azerbaijani scholar devoted his entire life to, besides the tablets, the Anunnaki meticulously examined such prehistoric Sumerian such works as the Gilgamesh epic, and the Enuma Elish, her creation myth, also examined many hieroglyphs. Rock paintings and statues discovered in the area that formerly included Egypt and Mesopotamia are close by. Zechariah, as a result, built an image of the Anunnaki's journey to Earth. The author claims that they arrived at right from space. There are individuals in direct proof in the support of one of them is a theory Hittite bas relief. Shows objects that resemble rockets. On the other, though, there is a chamber, illuminating God within it with light. Are there hieroglyphs in the historic Egyptian city with noticeable albedos, remarkably similar things to a spaceship, an airship, and a helicopter? There is no way, just like those from Futurama. The ancient Egyptians might have, as a result, technologies like those. These aircraft might belong to some extremely advanced society, but even if the Anunnaki are more numerous, one question remains beyond just a myth. Why did they take the gold from our planet? Why is it believed that aliens do not use this priceless metal as rather than jewelry? They needed money. Using gold to coat everything in protection, Zechariah entered the world of their origin Blitz's clay tablet as a foundation and premise that, based on such writings, the Anunnaki came from the Sumerian planet Nibiru. Scribbles indicate that several million years ago, it ran into an additional astronomical body that split Nibiru was drawn into the Earth and the Moon. Nearly entirely ruined, thus its residents occasionally flew to Earth and excavated for gold to restore it. About every 3,600 years, opportunity arises. When Nibiru and Earth are in proximity together, it takes precisely this long. The planet to produce a full maybe revolves around the sun. This tale seems implausible, but this approach would make it simple to explain the odd actions of scientists studying Uranus observed that the globe is swaying when it travels in its orbit. John Anderson, a NASA Jet Propulsion Scientist lab, is of the opinion that this phenomenon may result from gravitational unknown interaction with another planet to science. In addition, some pictures of indeed antique relics could be used as evidence of the alien character of the Anunnaki, and experts arrived in the Mesopotamia region. Unknown stone discs produced between 10 and they portray something from 12,000 years ago. These feel like a UFO about to land stone carvings that honor the King Babylon under the dominion of Hammurabi was surprisingly a region of Mesopotamia. There is a god standing next to the king, whose headpiece has a striking resemblance to a contemporary spacesuit. Yet another peculiarity. Berlin's bas relief is kept in the temple of the goddess of Mesopotamia. The goddess Ishtar is also dressed in a helmet that, once more, resembles it appears to have a spacesuit. Unique headphones and goggles attached additionally to some sort of flat antenna during digs in the vicinity of formerly known as Upper Nineveh. Researchers in Mesopotamia discovered a strange circular tablet from the period from October 10th to July 7th. Conspiracy theorists believe that it was a spaceship's manual. This text's interpretation by pilots needs assistance from a variety of specialists, mathematicians, linguists, and specialists, and they collaborate on space navigation, determined that the tablet's description of the path taken by the supreme Anunnaki If you're curious, there is a god in Leo. View the images of the Sumerian culture. As you go closer, you'll notice them wearing something similar to current timepieces, but not that the old writings are useful to scientists. Identify the locations of real spaceports were actually converging with the centers of growth of early human societies. As described by the aliens of the Sumerian tablets, used air stairways over the Tigris and Euphrates soaring river system over the planet, and specifically where Egypt, and why did the alien choose Mesopotamia? Gods only grant blessings when they are present. Why don't they go to the Sumerian spaceports no longer exist? Possibly for the justification once offered by astronomer Stephen Hawking. He that aliens don't contact us was widely held because they view us as a very primitive living form. But perhaps we could have been considerably more advanced since the Sumerians didn't object. If you work with the Anunnaki, you'll probably no idea how many aspects of life there are. The prehistoric Sumerian culture pioneering at the time, let's say, take the most fundamental favor we owe them. The development of the wheel came next. The first civilization to create the artificial irrigation system is sophisticated water is applied to the soil, and grid was used to design their cities. Patterns. This system served as an illustration in the interest of future urban planning day, that the Sumerians started to advance metallurgy utilizing metals other than copper to create different tools and weaponry. In addition to swords and daggers, spears composed of iron and copper, they also manufactured helmets as part of the armor, ancient chainmail and shields. Mesopotamian people created the first writing system used globally is they employed cuneiform to engrave their laws, customs, transactions, and other important records on clay tablets is. For precise sciences, Sumerian knowledge was unparalleled. For instance, they created a seductive decimal system. It was changed and is now in use to calculate angles and time in contemporary. The Sumerians produced one of geometry as well. The first historical calendars based on there were 12 lunar cycles in a year, 12 months with 12 separate months. According to the decrypted data, the Sumerians had incredibly precise writings. Facts about the stars and our galaxy worlds, and were very skilled in astronomy, was known to people 6,000 years ago. Awoke to the fact that Earth circled the sun. Astronomers in Sumer split the sky. They were familiar with the 12 zodiac signs. All of the planets in our solar system, even if, for instance, Uranus was first recognized in 1781, and Pluto only became a factor in 1930. And keep in mind that they were alive between the 3rd and 4th century BC, when they could only have imagined telescopes and other modern, we'd appreciate scientific gadgets. To think of our forebears as intelligent enough to come up with all those without the assistance of any super advanced beings, but it appears that modern geneticists have discovered that evidence that everything about humanity, a gift from the Anunnaki from way back when 1963. Researchers from Stockholm NAS and Sylvanus or University Margate discovered that the human body's DNA is present outside of the cell, both inside and outside of the nucleus. It was known as mitochondrial DNA. According to conspiracy theorists, this supports human DNA created genetically by the Anunnaki. The gods desired to create something simple, to prepare the hybrid race for completely in charge of mitochondrial DNA passed on to her by her mother. It can be a crucial component in keeping the Anunnaki genes is essential. Generations has been a component of human biology. It may sound crazy, but if at least some of the statements are accurate, it implies that the spacecrafts get to their highly developed state yet can't seem to get any closer to it. Attempt to veer off course was as soon as possible, which is why there was a fantastic blood, despite some Sumerian. Scriptures mention a royal ancestor of the mythology of the Anunnaki, King Gilgamesh, asserts that the Anunnaki transported him on he took a space trip to see Earth. However, as Gilgamesh viewed Earth reducing in size, he became alarmed and was returned, but he is not the only one. Genuine person who, in today's terms, concepts may be connected in some way to Nibiru conspiracy theories. Believe in aliens believe that one prominent woman was an unmistakable ancestor of the Anunnaki, that Nefertiti, the ancient Egyptian queen, was merely her bust, which was discovered in the city of Amarna. Nefertiti had a peculiar appearance. She had the appearance of an Egyptian queen, a neck that was unusually lengthy, large eyes, and the sound of an extended egg-shaped head identical to the details provided in the Arunnaki pharaoh Cheopsis, who is also connected to these prehistoric aliens because he is also depicted in one of the old statues, preserved with an odd-looking oblong. In addition, he had lived for 96 years, a very long French in the old. The typical living in Egypt at the time, a man's life expectancy was only 40 years. But if the pharaoh was the most significant, was in fact associated with the Anunnaki, could explain how he was able to construct a complicated construction like the Pyramid of Giza still stands today. Large amount of debate in the scientific how the massive stone differs around the world. A few bricks were rearranged, and what the pyramid was actually intended for more. There is a theory claiming that it was a pyramid alongside the other pyramids, positioned precisely to represent, in a nutshell, there is one Orion's belt. Undisputed fact that finishing such a project demands solid understanding of possibly a map of astronomy and engineering. Nibiruan immigrants will instruct our future generations could learn priceless lessons if we assuming that the Anunnaki are real once every 300-600 years, then visit Earth. Their subsequent appearance is scheduled for nonetheless. This is presuming that no error was made by researchers when determining the date of their most recent May. Invite visitors from Nibiru much sooner, and nobody can stop them. What will this historic gathering entail? Look like potential targets for the Anunnaki, the human race, as they previously did, or indulge individuals with new information technology. But the situation is yet unclear how they'll handle us, like if we were their companions, allies, or servants. Conspiracy theorists nowadays are certain that individuals with Rh-negative blood may be successors to the Anunnaki. Such blood is common and many well-known people have it. Neither the past nor the present are known to specifically. The monarch of the Elizabeth II of the United Kingdom, Beyoncé, Tom Cruise, Neil Armstrong, among many others. If we believe all of those theories, we must begin our search for the alien. Currently, Davy's sons and daughters, so that we can have respectable representatives as our culture when the time is right, and the spotlight is given to our creators. Don't wait if you want to quarrel straight away. Take the time to research your ancestors' blood types. Close your eyes and assess friends. Evaluate the typical head shapes, height of the basketball squad from your school. After finishing, please leave a remark below and provide names of potential. We've got to find the Anunnaki descendants, stop another flood from destroying once more the human species. Please click the subscribe button and the bell icon so you never miss a new movie. Thank you for watching.